Greetings. How's everybody doing? We're taping this right before the holiday season, mid-December, and so that's why you got my background. And hope everyone has a great holiday season. You get to spend time with your village, with your tribe, coming together to have a lot of laughter, a lot of joy, and a lot of storytelling and a lot of fun. As you all know, my name is Troy Lamel Stovall. I very humbly serve as the CEO of TEDCO, and honored today to have it with this taping, David Fike, who serves as the president and CEO of Leadership Maryland. And for those of you that are not in Maryland, you're going to learn a lot more about that. And for those in Maryland, we might be trying to recruit you to come to be a part of Leadership Maryland. But as I introduce David, I have to call out one of my fellow One TEDCO colleagues because as of just the day before this taping, Mindy Lehman, who serves as our government affairs person at TEDCO, was just elected chair of the board of Leadership Maryland. So couldn't be more excited for Mindy and you'll learn more about the great partnership between TEDCO and Leadership Maryland, but that just amplifies the leadership. And David, so thank you for being on today, and thank you for all you do for the state.
Well, Troy, I really thank you for having me on today, and thank you to your team for setting all this up and getting it ready. We've had a long history with TEDCO, and really have enjoyed that partnership and that relationship over the years. So appreciate you having me here today.
So you got a great picture there. Your background is, for those that may not know, is the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. It connects kind of the Annapolis area over to what we call the shore here, the Eastern Shore here in Maryland. I've got a picture here of a winter background. But David, I want to, if you just give me a second here, I want to do a little switch here. Now our team, we go about, we find different things about folks. And so we know you. So I did the winter. So I went from winter to the beach. So I did a switch on you. And so I know you like some golf, you like to travel. And so, but as we start our conversation, we're going to go back a little bit for you. And so I also know your first job was as a paper boy. And so if you look over the shoulder here, you got this little ship here as a paper boat. Okay. So I want you to tell folks how you go from being a paper boy and where you did this paper boy route, because that's entrepreneurship. Being a paper boy is there's a lot of entrepreneurship in that. So talk to us about being a paper boy.
Well, thank you for that. That background is fantastic, Troy. And you hit it spot on. I love the beach and I love golf. So those are, even though I don't get to do either very much, it seems like anymore. I love both of those things. But you're correct. I did start as a paper boy. I was kind of an entrepreneur when I was 8. I had a paper route. I shoveled snow.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Cut grass. I did it all when I was about 8 to 11. And during that time, I saved up all this money thinking, man, I'm going to college. I want to have all this money and, I can, so I can get through, pay for college and all that kind of stuff. And by the time I got to college, after those 3 years of working and doing all that stuff, it didn't even pay for one semester of college. So how disappointing. I should have just spent it on something fun, during that time. But go ahead.
No. Because as a paper boy, you got the routes. It's got to be a real funny story about a delivery during when you're doing the paper boy routes.
Well, that's a good one because there was a hilarious one, or it didn't seem hilarious at the time, but it was one of those life learning skills, things, those moments where you get those learning moments from your parents. And so it was in the middle of the winter. It was one of those times we don't get a lot of deep snow in Maryland, but we got like 30 inches of snow this one time. School was closed. I had this paper route. The papers had been delivered out in my driveway during the middle of the night, all that kind of stuff. And I got up and I was like, oh, great. I don't have to go to school. I'm going back to bed. And my father walked up to me and said, no, you got a commitment. You said you need to go out and get those papers and I'll go with you. But we're going to get these papers delivered. And that was the longest delivery route I think I ever had in my life because the snow was up to my waist. And, we were walking through the snow and literally skipping the newspaper in a plastic bag across the surface of the snow up to the doorstep, seeing how good we get at it. But it was a good lesson for me, to know that, if you commit to something, you're in it, and you got to do it. And people are expecting to do that. And so having that kind of life lesson kind of at an early age was really important to me.
That's cool. And, you think about many folks listen to this probably don't even know what a paper boy, is because this notion of a paper boy, doesn't exist anymore. At least I don't know of a lot of folks that do that because of you get your news now, and I don't even know if they even do the routes of paper anymore. They probably don't do that. It's one of those evolutions that has happened. We can debate good or bad, but it's just it's no longer there's not a lot of that anymore happening.
Yeah, that industry went through a lot of change, and oddly enough, after I came out of college and came back home, I kind of said, Mom and Dad, I just want to bum around and do nothing for a little while, and 6 months, go get a job. And I lived over on the Eastern Shore. I was born and raised on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. I had no intent on staying, and after about 2 weeks, I realized, wow, if you don't have any money, you can't even bum around. There's nothing you can do, So I thought, I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go get a job for a temporary job, just to tide me over for 6 or 8 months, and then I'm out of here. I'm going to go find a
Yeah.
job somewhere in the world. So I actually started selling advertising for a newspaper, and actually started into that industry. And after 6 months, got promoted into a management job. And then after a year, I was in another management job. And within 2 years, I was managing the entire region sales force, everybody that was older than me and more experienced than me.
Wow.
And I kept getting this progression of, raises and money and new jobs, and it just kind of kept me here. And I'll be honest, I was thrilled I was able to stay on the Eastern Shore. I still live there today, and it's just a beautiful place to raise kids, and the environment is just a beautiful environment as well. But after about 10 years of being in that organization, I actually ended up being president of the company and running the company for about 15 years after that. So it was quite a ride in the media space for 25 or so years.
And it all started being a paper boy. That's that.
Yeah.
It started from being a paper boy.
I would have never have thought it, but yeah, it just started from there. So it was a great ride. It was a great learning experience, and cutting your teeth as a brand new manager when you're 25 years old with everybody older than you, 30 people that report to you that are all older than you, more experienced than you. You learn a lot of really tough lessons, during that time. And so learned a lot, and it was invaluable now to be, at this point.
You and I share very similar. My first management job, I was 26, 27 years old, and everyone was older than I was, and some of them had kids older than I was at that time, And
Yep.
so you're right. It teaches you a lot about humility,
Yeah.
but it also teaches you a lot about how to really work with people and not manage them, but work with them.
Yeah, and that's the key. You gotta build a team that and you all work together, and it's for a common cause, and get everybody kind of on the same page. And you got to be open to their ideas and thoughts, so that because I'm never the smartest person in the room, and I
Amen.
want their input, and there's so many great ideas that came from people that I work with over the years that helped propel me through my career that I would have never even thought of. So I can't thank them enough. And it is my style today. I'm very hands off, and I let people flow in the direction they want to flow. And I look for their energy and their thoughts. And I think the more you do that, the more you start getting more of those thoughts and those positive vibes and that good juju in your organization.
I love it. I love it. So you kind of told us a little bit about your path. So, and you've had a path that included both the for-profit and the nonprofit sector. You clearly the nonprofit now, which we'll come back to talk about. But I guess my question is kind of what are 2 to 3 nuggets that has kind of propelled you and led you and been a part of as you move from the for-profit world to the nonprofit world that stayed with David along the way?
Yeah. So in between these two careers, I had a career for about 4 years. I ran a global beauty company, which had absolutely nothing to do with anything else I did in my life. But going back to those nuggets, it doing that, you walk in, and I know nothing about the beauty industry whatsoever. I walked in, totally cold on the topic, and trying to help out a friend who really had a interesting startup kind of business, and she wanted to grow it and needed help, and she was a high kind of person, but had no kind of thought related to how to run a business in a manufacturing plant, all that stuff. So what I learned, that nugget that I kind of got through that process, is managing people and running a company is the same pretty much everywhere. The foundation of it all is exactly the same everywhere.
Yeah.
The product is different. The names and the context in the industry are different. The vernacular is a little different. I mean, there's just things you got to learn, but how you're managing process, people, and procedures, it's
I love it.
exactly the same.
I
There's
love it.
nothing different. And
Exactly.
so it really opened my eyes to it. That stint for 3 or 4 years really opened my eyes that, wow, this really does convey, across anywhere, and you can do pretty much anything. And so um, if you follow the principles, that you kind of have guided you, through your career at this point in time. So when this position came open, for running Leadership Maryland as president and CEO, it was a really unique opportunity, and one that I was at a point in the time in my life where I said, you get to a point somewhere in your career where you've done a lot of cool things, and you've made money, and you've done stuff, and you really want to try to do things that make a difference,
Yep.
and this organization is just that. It makes a difference in the individuals who go through this program. It makes a difference in their lives, and we're hoping that conveys to making a difference in their communities and in the state that we live in. It's a great state. I love it. I'm born and raised here. And there's so many beautiful things about this state, but we could be so much more, so
Yeah.
much more forward. And I think we're, moving in a trajectory right now that I think we can start taking and capitalizing on so many of the benefits and positives of this great state.
Well, you introduced it, so I want you to tell folks who may know, but particularly folks who don't know about Leadership Maryland, what it is, and as you describe it, if you could think about one or two things that someone who even knows about it may not know about Leadership Maryland.
Yeah. So, you know, Leadership Maryland is really one of the premier executive development programs in the country. And most people, even the people that go through the program, don't recognize that or realize that, even though we try to express that as much as we can. But if you look around the country, we've created a program that is very unique and different from most other leadership development kind of programs.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, and Troy, you've been through this just like I have probably numerous times,
Yeah.
you've gone to training and it's leadership training or it's nuts and bolt training and all that kind of stuff. And we don't do any of that. We're not looking to do any of that. We assume you're coming in with a lot of leadership skills already.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to teach you how to be a leader. What we're trying to do is to evolve you as a leader. We want you
I
to
love it.
look outside of your work environment and what you're trying to accomplish in your work world, and start looking at the environment around you, the state or the community that you live in, and how can we improve and move the state forward, in a positive direction. And so during the year, we put together at the beginning of the year, we put together a cohort of 52 individuals. It is a highly diverse class of
Mm-hmm.
individuals on purpose. And I can get into diversity in a minute when we want to,
Yep.
if we want to talk
Yep.
about that.
Yep.
It is a highly diverse group of individuals from all across the state, covering a big geography, covering lots of industries. And we put them together so that we can then take them around the state and show them different parts of the state. So every month we're going somewhere different, and showing them, different things that are important in that particular area. Plus, we usually are focusing, or we're always focusing on a topic while we're there. So when we're on the Eastern Shore, we're talking about the environment. And so we're bringing in speakers who are really knowledgeable about the environment and how it's affecting Maryland and what's happening, what solutions are being implemented to try to fix, environmental problems within our state. And so there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that kind of conversation that happens, while at the same time just showing you the Eastern Shore. There's things that don't have anything to do with the environment, but we want to show you a little bit of the Eastern Shore too. And it always amazes me every year how many people have not been to the outer parts of the state. They have not been to the Eastern Shore. They may have driven to Ocean City, but they don't know anything about the shore. And they have
Yep.
not been to the western part of the state in Western
Oh,
Maryland.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I
So
agree.
it's like
Yeah.
two areas that people just they're almost in awe when they get there, because they didn't realize that the state had that. And so really a nice positive thing, for them to be able to see. But we take them around, show them these topics, and then our goal is to really present and give them some of the biggest pressing topics and issues that are affecting the state. Present them to them, And I really hope, and our organization really hopes, that by the time you get to the end of the year, you either walked into this program with a passion about something and we reinvigorated that passion, or you found a passion during the year
Mm-hmm.
and said, I would really like to do something to help, and I'll stick with the environment, to help the environment. I think there's a topic there, that topic there is really important, about Maryland. We need to clean up the bay, or something. And the amount of people that have walked away from our program and made significant steps to try to improve the state, i.e., starting a nonprofit or joining boards that were related to the topics they were interested in, or partnering with other alumni to put together activities to try to fix or solve problems, or really dealing with our political leaders in the state to try to fix topics that they may have seen that there was problems in the state in some way, shape, or form. Our background and our 30-year history has been just populated with lots of that positive momentum from our alumni base to try to make change in the state. And so that is our goal. We want to present something to you. We want to present all the problems, and then we want you to walk away really motivated about something to really affect positive change in our state.
I love it. So is there a story, you kind of alluded to a couple is there a story or someone's told you the impact that going through it has had on them that you should obviously keeping the names, secret, but it's a story you'd like to share that really amplifies what you're saying?
Yeah, we've had numerous individuals who have walked away. We had one from the 2022 class. She went through the program, and she came from a home where it was a good home where she lived, but she saw so many young men of color not moving in a positive direction moving forward. And so she wanted to create, and she said it halfway through the program, I really want, and it was actually ended up being after we went through our criminal justice kind of session. She brought it up right after that. I want to create a nonprofit that really starts helping young, and in her case, she wanted to help young African-American men move in a positive direction, and start putting together a group that could help give them a foundation to do things positive instead of not seeing a way out of their current environment. And so she started that nonprofit just recently, as a matter of fact, and it's just launched. And so I'm really excited to see where that's going to go. We've got numerous other stories exactly like that, all the way to the extreme of people went through the program and quit their job and started a nonprofit because they were that motivated and that excited about wanting to do to really work with the topic that they did. So a lot of extremes there, but we hope most individuals walk away with that kind of energy and vigor about trying to do something positive in the state. We know everybody doesn't, but we know a lot of those stories that are out there.
Man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you mentioned, and you continue to mention the diversity, and you and I, we're talking, preparing for this, and people have heard me talk about diversity. Yes, the traditional gender and race is an important diversity element that should not be ignored, but geography shouldn't be ignored either. And so I want you to talk about that and how you go about pulling that class together that represents that diversity along a number of dimensions.
Yeah, so it's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, it starts when we put together the class. When we're interviewing and pulling together their bios and all their information, they have to fill out a pretty extensive application process to get, to a point where they actually do interviews, with our selection committee. And, we are looking for diversity in a lot of different areas. It's age, it's geography, it's what profession you are. It's a variety of different topics, even the thoughts that you've got and the topics that you're interested in. We're writing all that down to try to put together a class that is the most diverse class we could possibly put together. And the reason why we actually do that extra effort is because what we found is the more diverse we make the class, the better the experience is for the people that are in the class. And so we want to try to make it as diverse as we possibly can for the classmates. And so, the kind of the secret sauce of our organization, and people ask me this all the time, what's the magic? I mean, why do people walk away so excited about this program and they're all, motivated and all that kind of stuff? And I said, I think it really centers around, this topic. One, we create a diverse group of individuals. And then that group of individuals, they're all executive level individuals. They're people that are at the top end of their professions or their careers. And Troy, when you get to that kind of point, sometimes there's things that happen in your world that you can't really talk about. You don't have to talk to, about this topic. Or, there's times where maybe you don't even want to talk about your own personal thought related to topics because it's your opinion and you don't want to, put yourself in an awkward spot. And so we create that safe environment, that environment where people can get together and actually start talking about how they feel about particular major topics that are affecting the state, and be open about it. And it's kind of a what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of conversation. That's what we create that kind of environment for them so that they can, do that. And you're having that conversation with kind of a peer in an industry that has nothing to do with you. And so the chances of you two, while you may be friends, your professional lives probably don't cross, too much. So it allows them to just be free, and talk. And as the year goes on, they start breaking down those barriers and start talking more and more about, their thoughts and feelings to the point they get to the end. And it's amazing how many people walk away and say, I'm 45, I'm 50 years old. I never thought I would find a best friend or a lifelong friend at this age. Every year we have a group of people that are like that every single year that, walk away from this. So, that is secret sauce piece. But going back to your diversity question, we really strive for it from the beginning. And then we include it in our program. We have a section all in October that's completely dedicated to diversity. It's a great session, but quite frankly, we want to try to do more moving forward. And so our facilitators for this coming year really want to try to integrate it in earlier in the process and bring in that topic more and more, because we're hearing that conversation more and more from participants in the program that we need to talk about this topic more. We need to educate more, and we need to talk about this topic and more in our sessions. And so we're going to have more and more of that, as we move forward.
So I love this. And I think my next question I'm looking at your logo and it says Leadership Maryland, but the tagline underneath it says the strength within. And I love that. It speaks to me, but I'd love for you to talk to the audience about why that tagline.
Yeah. So it's, you read that tagline, it can mean a variety of different things. When I look at it, I think, our alumni base is super strong. It is a passionate group that really is cares and is concerned about not only the organization but the members within the organization. So that anytime, if one of our members wanted to call somebody outside of their cohort and maybe a cohort from 10 years ago and say, hey, I'm from Leadership Maryland class of 22. I need some help trying to do blah, whatever blah is, they'll take the call. They want to help out each other in some way, shape, or form. And so, you've got that piece of the strength, but I think the other piece of the strength is, you've got people that really just want to participate. They want to be engaged. They want to stay connected within the organization. And you can see it, the past 2 years, our membership has grown by 22%, highest number we've had in over a decade.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Second largest number we've had ever in the history of the organization. We purposefully are trying to get out and about all around the state. So we had events that were in every single county in the state and Baltimore City this past year. We wanted to be highly visible. So there's some, we're intentionally trying to get our alumni reinvigorated, even more excited than what they were before about the organization. So
that's what I was saying. So as you think about 2024, again, we're taping this towards the end of 2023. What's some cool stuff that you're thinking about for 2024?
Wow. So the next couple of years is going to be really exciting. I've been in this role now for 2 years, almost 2 years, and we have done a lot of kind of behind the scene work to start building the future, of this organization. And I'm really proud of what's happened in the last year. There's a lot of nice positive results. I was just giving it to our board of directors the other day all the positive kind of stats that came out of this year. There was just a lot of nice kind of positive mojo moving in this organization, and it's a testament to our team. Our team has really worked really hard, and has believed in kind of where we want to try to go moving forward, and bought into that concept, and actually helped put together that thought process of what we were trying to do moving forward. And it's centered back with a strategic plan that we put together in recent times. But the things that where we really feel like we're going to grow in the next couple of years, we have a brand new program that's going to be starting up in 2024, and this is the first time that it'll probably be announced publicly.
There you go. We got a scoop. Back to the newspaper. We got a scoop.
That's it. I'm giving you a scoop. So we are launching an emerging leader program, and this really came from our membership, who said we really need to try to do two things. One, we need to start training our leaders that we feel like are going to move on up in our organization, that are just they're in maybe their first or second management job, but they need training. They need that kind of knowledge set. And then the second thing is, we want to do things to try to retain these employees. And so giving them these kind of training experiences and investing in them will help us retain them even further. And so with that, we had a committee put together who spent probably close to a year putting this program together. It'll officially launch in mid to late January. Okay. Have a cohort put together, and start up. The first class will start up in June of this year. And so
outstanding.
Excited to do that, moving forward. And, in the coming years, that programming topic is going to expand, and we're going to do more programming, because one of the things that when I was applying for this role, my thought process with this organization is we ought to be providing kind of a lifetime of leadership learning.
Exactly.
And it should start, as you're coming into the workforce, and it should go, all the way into you're maybe coming out of the workforce in some way, shape, or form. So this program will probably get those entry level kind of individuals. We've got our executive program, and we're going to have an alumni program for more advanced individuals who've been through our executive program that's going to be coming probably in 25. And there may be some other little niche kind of programs that pop up from time to time in the coming years. But we think there's a lot of opportunity there. And then the more we do that, the more, going back to the alumni engagement piece, that's the key for us, is to continue to keep growing that engagement. So that'll help us do that even more.
And I love what you said, particularly the emerging leaders, particularly for companies that are putting their junior leaders into it. That creates an investment in them, and creates hopefully a high level of stickiness for them to stay with those organizations because of that early investment that they've made in them. So
exactly.
So David, you said a couple of times the impact that Leadership Maryland has on the state. Again, if you could kind of do the crystal ball, kind of what would be one or two things you'd kind of see that people who've gone through Leadership Maryland have had an impact on something that the state is really wrestling with right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can go with just about any of the major topics that we talk about, whether it's criminal justice or education or the environment or health and human services. Every year we have individuals that kind of come from our cohort in the class to really start diving into those topics a little bit more. But I think even going outside of that, there are major topics that are even brand new topics. The whole kind of mental health environment right now and trauma is really significant in our world, and I think we need to address that and figure out a way to start addressing that better. Transportation has been a huge topic within our state that has had a lot of controversy about it, and I think we need to start addressing that one as well. And you could even move into the the legalization of marijuana, and how that affects the dynamic of the state. So I think we'll continue to keep bringing in new more topics moving forward. And our goal, again, I can't force anybody to go out and do stuff, but we're hoping we get them that excited and that motivated by the time they get to the end of the year that they want to go out and start doing things that make a difference in our state.
That's cool, brother. That's cool. Well, look, man, as we start to wrap this up, I got to ask you a couple of personal. Going back to the screenshot. So, two questions: the golf course that you've played on that you just fell in love with, and the beach that you went to that we got to go back.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do the second one first. So Down in the Caribbean. My wife and I are both kind of beach junkies. We love trying to be on the beach as much as we can. And our honeymoon was actually in Anguilla.
Yeah.
If you know Anguilla, there's a resort there called the Malayahala. Just a gorgeous setting, just a beautiful spot. The water was just beautiful, and you couldn't ask for a better spot. So anxious to go back there
There
as
you
soon as
go.
I can. It's quite the trek to get there because you take puddle jumpers and everything else to get there. But it's a lot of fun. That's for sure. And the golf courses, I have played a lot of golf courses. I'm not sure I've got one that I would really pull out and say, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to stay a homer and stay with Maryland and say the course up in at Bully Rock is a beautiful course. I think they do a gorgeous job with that environment, and every time I've played it, it's just been a great spot to go to. So I would
And you
highly recommend.
you shot par, right? You shot below par right there. Yeah.
Well, if no, I had a good time though. I had a good time.
I love it. David, thank you for all you do for Maryland. We didn't talk about TEDCO, but TEDCO is a huge. We've had a relationship with these for years. We've always tried to have someone nominated to the class every year. We've had a number of folks over the last couple of years go through, and as we just mentioned, Mindy Lehman is now the chair of the board. So we will continue the close working relationship that we have with Leadership Maryland and with you personally, David. So I couldn't thank you enough for your time today and for all that you do for the state.
Well, thank you, Troy. Thanks again for having me on the podcast. And we really sincerely appreciate all the support that TEDCO has given our organization over the years. We love having the individuals come through the class every single year. And your financial and just time support has just been unbelievable. So we really sincerely thank you for that.
No problem, my friend. So look, by the time folks see this, hope you had a great holiday season. A happy New Year. By the time this probably comes out, Happy New Year. Hope your 2023 was blessed and that 2024 starts off great. And so as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for all the feedback. This is Troy Lamel-Stovall, the CEO of TECO. As always, stay safe, sane, healthy, and blessed. Take care, and until next time.